and welcome to ADHD Friendly. I am Patty. I am an ADHD coach, and I have been serving the neurodiverse community since 2012. And here we are in 2024. It's crazy. But welcome. Everything at ADHD Friendly is focused on supporting you to thrive by doing things your way and capturing them, so you remember what that way is so you can use it again. This is episode 135, and I'll be sharing some visuals as I usually do. So if you are listening to this, I invite you, if you want to see the visuals, check out my YouTube channel, ADHD Friendly. And as we always do, I'm going to start with a celebration. And my first celebration is tied to, as always, subscribers. And I'm always happy when the number goes forward. So it is going forward. So thank you. Thank you. Welcome, new subscribers. We get to go to a nice round number. You know, I love round numbers.
Oh, yeah. Woo.
I ever tell you my little fixation on round numbers, if I'm it really comes up when I'm buying a car, and you know, the monthly payment, if it ends up not being a round number, I'm like, okay, you're gonna need to bring that down so it's not
for me.
like I'm not paying like I remember my first car payment was $233, and I had to pay that for 60 months, and the extra 3 drove me nuts.
Of course.
Then after that I was like, no, I need it to be 230, or you know, it needs to be round. And so now when they break it down, if I have a payment, I'm like, hey, we gotta have to work on that. It can help me to learn how to negotiate my little particular dislike for non-round numbers.
I love it.
So I really do appreciate the round number. I was so happy when I peeked at it this morning. I was like, it's a round number. So thank you for taking the time to subscribe and for checking out the podcast. And I hope you find something today that helps you to thrive with ADHD. So I have a social celebration. Becca, I hinted at it last week in last week's episode. I went to my first ever, it wasn't Comic-Con, but it was like Comic-Con here in Chicago. I think it was called C2E2. I don't know. I'm really bad at names. I apologize. But isn't it all my kind of thing?
Right.
So one of my challenges for 2024 is to say yes to more things, not just kind of go to my default decision of nope, not doing it, because I don't like crowds. I don't like being, you know, in a situation that I'm not familiar with. And I went with a new friend and my daughter and my daughter's friend, and then my new friend's husband. And so a lot of that was uncomfortable because we were going to all be in a car together driving into Chicago and then spending the day together. And then I'm going to be in this crowd of people,
a lot of people
who, when my daughter's friend invited me, she was like, oh, and just so you know, cosplay is really encouraged. And I was like, what?
Like, and I have to dress up.
And so I was completely overwhelmed, but I'd already committed. And I was like, you can do this, Patty, you can do this. So my celebration is I did it. And I actually had fun. I had more fun than I thought. Lots of people watching, really interesting. I mean, some of the costumes were just amazing. My favorite costume, as I've shared before, I love Star Wars. I love Harry Potter. There was a lot of both, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be more anime kind of centric. But there was a Jawa there, you know, with the red eyes and the clothes. It was so perfect. You couldn't see their face at all. And that was just one of my absolute favorite costumes. And I just loved it. I felt it reminded me a lot of the conference, the annual ADHD conference, where it just felt like everybody was very accepting of each other. It was nobody that was rude or disrespectful or kind of pushing, or everybody was just really polite and considerate and accepting. And people were absolutely leaning into their authentic self, just enjoying the opportunity to dress up and honor their favorite characters. And it was really, really unexpectedly fun. Although I did find out that apparently it was a lot less crowded than it typically is. So I'm very grateful for that, because it was about the max that I could tolerate. And so now I know, like, I probably don't want to go again if it's going to be more crowded another time, but I did enjoy the one time. So I'm not saying I'll never go again, but I am grateful that I went, and I challenged myself to experience it. So that's my social win for the week. So now on to what I purchased this week. I started this last week, and I did purchase a few things. I have to say they all fall in the want, not the need.
Oh, okay. What did we get?
So I know you've seen, I have some new plants, some flowers in my flower. It's kind of a need because I can't have, like, you know, empty flower pots. And yeah, so I got my annual flowers, and I got a few vegetables. I'm gonna, you know, try for year 2 in a row of producing some vegetables.
Remember those cucumbers?
I know. So I don't remember what kind of cucumber plant. I might have it in my palm. I
Because
didn't
I
even think.
benefit.
I know, I gave you a lot of cucumbers.
So
I
I
know.
will accept all that.
Well, I'm hoping, I 20 years of not producing a single edible vegetable,
You're a
but
cucumber.
I'm really hoping to have 2 in a row. So I bought some flowers and vegetables.
Yay.
Then I went to an estate sale with my daughter on Sunday and came home with a Christmas tree.
Nice.
Yeah, 7.5 feet tall, pre-lit. It was Sunday, last day of the sale, so it was 60% off. So I got it for $15, which
Stop it.
was like do I need this? No. Do I want this? Yes.
Yeah.
Because now I can have like literally a Star Wars themed or a Harry Potter themed Christmas tree, which is really, really sparkly to me. Exactly. And I really could never, I've wanted this for years and I couldn't justify the expense of it. So I come home and my husband's like, why do you have a Christmas tree? And I'm like, shh, don't judge me. Because I do. I always have this like kind of like buyer's guilt, even or remorse, even though it was only $15. It's like, do I really need this? It's more stuff, it's more clutter, but it is so sparkly. So I got that. And then my true, completely impulsive sparkle, aided by one of my kids who was shopping with me, like, yo, mom, you should totally get that. Also has ADHD. Together, we conspired to buy an inflatable pool for the backyard.
The bench.
It has a bench with a little backrest. It's a family little like inflatable pool.
I need to get one myself.
It's not dog friendly because it's clearly
Right.
inflatable.
But man, like
it has cup holders. I don't know if you can see that. And it was $39. Costco.
Stop it. I'm going to
and there was
Costco
only like
now.
8 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had more on a crate somewhere.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can return it if I don't love it. This is what I love about Costco. If I set it up and it's just ridiculous or it doesn't, hold up to our use, I can take it back. I won't, but I can. That was part of my thought process. Totally an impulse buy, but because I'm owning what I purchased between podcast recordings week to week, had to own it. But I do have to say, again, still, I'm not denying it's definitely a want, not a need.
Yeah.
But I've shared how much heat is an absolute weakness of mine. It just absolutely impacts me in really, really negative ways. This is a sparkly tool to beat the heat that I'm actually excited about a day warm enough that I'd be motivated to get this bad boy out, set it up, fill it up, and get in it to see if it, just makes it a little sparkly to have a hot day with a little inflatable pool to play with. So
that's like your typical baby pool. Like that's a legit.
I wonder if I could fill it up enough that almost, maybe like float on top and just pull myself along, in circles on the bottom or something. I don't know. It's a very sparkly thing, and it wasn't a huge amount of money. So I'm still noticing my what I'm buying. And if I need it or don't need it and what comes up in the moment, and I'm just holding that accountability by bringing it here and sharing it with you. And again, I invite you to notice what's going to work for you if you're buying things that maybe aren't serving your budget or the space you have, or, creating more calm and joy in your life. What would you do to support yourself a little bit more easily? I'm still noticing this for myself. I'll let you know what I learned. All right. So on to the tip for this week. This is an ADHD-friendly tip, and I've talked about this before, but I'm bringing it back up because one of my clients created, they downloaded an app that they were using to track their habits, and we're talking about how they were able to see, it prompted them each day, and I have these, and I do this every day myself, but I don't have a way, at least in my app, to go in and really see like the progress over time. I check the box every day, but I can't see the consistency that kind of the Seinfeld don't break the chain kind of thing. So I invite you, if a digital app works for you, how are you seeing? Because some of them do let you kind of like, zoom out and see the pattern over time. But I am really a big fan when it comes to habit tracking of keeping it external so you can see it, if there's a way for you to do that. So checking the digital box, seeing it like Becky, you can see my wall calendar for there,
Yes.
where I every single day put a little X mark when I do my daily walk.
Mhm.
And it's a annual 2024 wall calendar all in one space. But guys, I mean, like you can print it out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper
Yeah.
and just check it off every day. Anything that lets you see what you've been able to do. And even if you aren't like you do break the chain, it makes it so much easier to pick back up. It's like, well, I missed 1 or 2 days, but I can come back and look like in this whole chain of X's, there's just a couple that didn't get crossed off. It's very satisfying and easy to reconnect with it if you can see it. So that's my tip. Just when you think about tracking your habits, just a reminder, external, visual, concrete is really the key, or visual external concrete, VEC, VEC is how I remember that. All right. And now a quick word from our sponsor, which is ADHD friendly. Jump ahead a minute if you don't want to hear it. All right. Welcome. And I invite you to check out ADHD-Friendly, the membership community designed to help you thrive with ADHD. I have lots of tools and resources in the membership portal that you can access right away, as well as live events every month designed to help you tilt that playing field in your favor. Today, I am doing what I call a power hour body double session. That means I share some information at the top, about 10, 15 minutes with some tips and information on how to move something forward. Today, we're focusing on digital photos. So I'm going to be sharing some tips on how to organize your digital pictures. And then we body double for about 45 minutes while you actually start organizing them. And then on Friday, I have a live plan your week session. So that's an hour-long session where we body double. I take you through my process step by step with time built in for you to do each step so that you leave with your week mostly planned, if not all the way planned. And then next Friday, I have a plan your month with me session where we're going to plan out the month of June together. Again, an hour session. These are the types of offerings that I include every month in your membership. I invite you to check it out at ADHDfriendly.com. Now, back to the episode. All right. Now for the topic for this week, which I don't think I said at the top of the episode. That's okay. If you're listening to it, you saw the topic. It's on feedback. So I'm going to share why it's so hard for us to receive feedback, typically of any form, and just some strategies to begin exploring to get better at receiving it. So these come from the book, Thanks for the Feedback. And I'm going to be sharing some of the strategies that they had within there. I want to get the authors really quick. Oh no, I don't have them. So they're good. I'll have Becca pop it up because I can't. I know one of them, her last name is Heen, Heen, and the other guy's first name is Douglas. That's what I remember. I'm so bad with names, but I will have Becca pop it into, that's the book I was going to grab, Becca, and I forgot. I was looking for a different book.
Good.
But she'll pop it up there and it'll be in the show notes. But it's called Thanks for the Feedback. So first, I have a couple of quotes from Dr. William Dodson, who is world-renowned in his work with people with ADHD. And he says that people with ADHD have little self-awareness. It is hard for them to know moment to moment how they themselves are doing, the effect they are having on others, and how they feel about it all. So again, that ties to our weak metacognition, our ability to take that bird's eye view and observe our own patterns and navigate from what we're noticing is working or not working. And that's exactly what he's speaking to. And then he also says many people with ADHD find that the feedback they get from other people is different from what they perceive. So many times they find out often too late that the other people were right all along. So we might like go and do something, maybe like go to a party and kind of leave going, yeah, I nailed that. Like that was awesome. And the reality might be that other people were like, oh my gosh,
Read the room, buddy.
that girl was a lot. And we don't know, right? And I've worked with a lot of clients over the years who maybe go to a job interview or something and they don't get the job, but they're not getting feedback.
So they don't know.
So we don't know what to do differently because now they're so, I think, afraid of, and this is just my own take.
Yeah.
I think they're so afraid of litigation, of being sued for something that they say.
Sure.
So they won't give you any feedback. We can't change without feedback.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do differently. Feedback is essential. So here's a little bit of information from the book, Thanks for the Feedback. So they say, when we get good at receiving feedback, even some of our toughest interactions come to feel a little bit less threatening. right? So we start to understand what it is that isn't working for us or what it is that is working for us, so we can increase what is working and lessen what isn't working. Okay, so they also share that this is helpful for parents because often, asking for feedback, receiving feedback is, I'm going to be honest, it can feel really uncomfortable. And we get a lot of feedback sometimes we don't even want. So asking like for more of it can kind of trigger that sensitivity for us and kind of send us, I call it turtling, like I don't want to take it in. I don't want to hear anymore about what I need to improve on. But if you have kids, here's a benefit. I always found I can do things more for my kids. If it would help them, then I could do it for myself. So they say even our kids can benefit from our modeling of receiving feedback because they'll respond to tough challenges the way they see us respond to tough challenges. So if we're able to take constructive feedback and use it, our kids will see that and they'll learn that this is what they say, that us doing that will teach them more about resilience than all of the pep talks and lectures that we give them combined. So I love that because it's just, again, connecting to a way to lean into it that can help you to do it a little bit more easily if you're realizing that there's a benefit for your kids as well to see you model that for them. And so they say that the majority of our learning from feedback is going to have to come from people who, and let's be real here, a lot of them they might be doing their best. Let's like give them the benefit of the doubt. But often the people giving us feedback are too busy, are difficult people themselves, or they are just lousy at giving feedback. So they said, if we are serious about growth and improvement, we have no choice but to get good at learning from just about anyone, including people that just aren't good at giving feedback, because that's who we're often going to be getting it from. So here are some challenges to receiving it and some strategies to try. And again, I'm just going to be kind of giving like an overview of some strategies. I did an entire webinar on this. It's in the membership portal. So again, if you want to check out ADHD Friendly, there's lots of resources in there. And there is an entire hour-long webinar on this topic with lots of more details and lots more strategies to explore. So the first is be aware of your blind spots. So again, because we have weak metacognition, we have a lot of blind spots. Learning what they are is key. So the thing that I loved about what they said is that literally your face is a blind spot. And I always joke, I don't have a poker face. Like you will know if I like or don't like something because
it's all over your face.
It's all over my face. There's like, if you come in and you got like this haircut, I'll be like, oh, like I can't. And then over the years, I have learned I'm doing it. So I'm aware, oh, it's on my face, but not enough to stop it before I show my face. Yeah. So it's only if I know I'm going to be like, if somebody gave me a gift, I can kind of like intentionally put on a neutral face. But if I'm not expecting something, you're going to get the authentic reaction from my face. And so I know that's my blind spot. So they highlighted that even like your tone of voice, if you're not aware of how you're coming across, like maybe you sound irritable, you don't mean to, but you're coming across that way. Or maybe you have what they call resting bitch face, where you're not intending to have that be what you're projecting. But if people are like, oh my gosh, like, are you upset about something? You look really mad. That might be something for us to grow awareness of. So we can even say like, hey, like if I look irritated, just know I'm aware I sometimes look like that, but come and ask me questions. Like it's just my resting face. Right. I don't mean anything by it.
I'm approachable, I swear.
Exactly. So one of the strategies for this is to learn your spots. Ask a question like this. What do you see me doing or failing to do that's getting in my way? That's it. Who you ask matters. So you may not want to ask this to somebody that can be really harsh or blunt if that's not a way that you can receive feedback. And then even think about how you would better receive it. Like I tend to do better in written feedback than I do verbal feedback. So I like to ask for feedback in an email where somebody can write back and I can kind of like, read it in bits, or I can kind of come back and revisit it. Because what I'll notice is I'll read it and it'll sound really harsh and judgmental. And then if I just take a little bit and step away and I come back to it and I realize there was nothing in this at all that was harsh or judgmental. It just was the way my brain perceived it as like a threat. And then I can come back to it with a calm brain. Where if I get it verbally, I don't have a chance to come back and revisit it. I tend to replay it the way I heard it, which is with that harsh judgment. And it doesn't really serve me the same way. So ask for it the way that you need it. The other thing that they talked about was wrong spotting. So wrong spotting is what we heard versus what was meant. So the example for this is maybe, and this might be like in a work setting. So maybe your boss says, be more confident. And you're hearing, you really know a lot of things that you're not giving yourself credit for. And even if you don't know them, like trust yourself. And what they meant was, you need to have more confidence to say when you don't know things instead of jumping in like you actually know it. And that's a big difference. Those are two very different things. So to clarify, if somebody's like, be more confident, ask clarifying questions. Tell me more, or can you give me an example of what that looks like what you're referring to? Because then they might say, you're always jumping in like you feel like you need to fill a space of silence or prove that you know something. And it's okay if you don't. So it's okay just to be silent. That would be a lot more helpful than us assuming that they're telling us like, be confident. Even if you don't know, more than you think jump in more often, which is exactly the opposite of what they were asking for. So ask clarifying questions. And then the last is wiring and temperament. And so wiring is your baseline. So their research in the book, Thanks for the Feedback, showed that our baseline for our wiring, so how intensely we receive feedback, can vary as much as 3,000%. And I guarantee you, those of us with ADHD brain wiring are making up that huge swing. And we're certainly impacting the curve. So they say that our wiring affects who we are and contributes to how intensely feedback affects us. And this is both positively and negatively. So if you get a positive comment, it could like literally build you up, or you may not be able to take it in as much as somebody without the same level of brain wiring that you have. It also influences how high we go and how low we descend and how quickly we recover from the despair. So if you get negative feedback and it just sends you into a spiral, your wiring can literally impact how quickly you're able to come back up and recover from that. So they say if we have a lower baseline, the volume is turned down on the positives and it's turned up on the negatives. Remember, that's pretty much our ADHD brain wiring. We are wired for negativity. And I always say with ADHD, we're hardwired. Like the circuit just is really short. We go right there. So if we know that, we have to turn the volume up on the positives. We have to collect those successes. We need to find a way to connect to them. And then our temperament is some aspects of it, they say, are inherited, but there's lots of evidence that they're not fixed. So they share that meditation, serving others, and exercise can all raise our baseline over time. And that's something just to be aware of, right? It's not like, oh, well, this is just how I am. It's okay, what could I do to move the needle in this a little bit? So one final quote on feedback. This comes from Shanita Williams, who did Feedback Mentality. She says, feedback is just information and you have the power to decide what to do with it. And that's it. We cannot move the needle without feedback because we don't know what to do differently or how we're impacting as we're trying to improve an area. Getting feedback is really key, but asking for it from the people or in the way that are going to work for us is really important. So keep that in mind with ADHD particularly. All right, on to the book of the week. Okay, so my book this week is The Violin Conspiracy. This is by Brendan Slocum. And I have to say, not my favorite. So I'm just sharing that I read it, but it has really good reviews. So I invite you to check it out. All right, my last thing for this week is my quote of the week. And I'm going back to Kevin Kelly.
Kevin.
Because he had such a great quote on feedback that I just thought tied so nicely with this week's topic. He says, try hard to solicit constructive criticism early. You want to hear what's not working as soon as possible. When it is finished, you can't improve it. So I like that because, right, if we get like so far into something that it's like, I almost like, this resonates with me because I tend to be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear anything. I just want to do what I'm doing because it took so much effort to start. But at the same time, it's exhausting to get feedback when I've already like here, there's an example, finish my coaching forms bundle, available now in the ADHD-friendly shop. If I get feedback now on this, it would be overwhelming because it took me so long to make it that it's almost like I can't hear the feedback now in a way that I could take it easily. It might be like, okay, I'm going to file that away. And when I do a revamp of these, I'll keep that in mind.
Go back to it.
But it's kind of too late to ask for the feedback. I did ask for feedback along the way. But but I don't know what I don't know. So there may very well be things in this 12 form bundle that when somebody, this is for coaches who are either have ADHD or are coaching clients with ADHD specifically, but it could also be life coaches or any kind of coach. It's not ADHD specific, but it was designed by my brain, and I'm an ADHD coach. So it definitely has that lens throughout as well. But I'm sure there's things in here that I totally missed and didn't ask for maybe feedback from enough people if I get some feedback back. So it'd be hard once it's done to get that feedback. So asking for it at a point where it's easier to receive, I thought that quote really tied that nicely. So just keep that in mind when if you're striving to look for more opportunities to get some feedback in a way that you can take it and use it in your life. So that's it for this episode. If you found something helpful, again, this is episode 135. I invite you to post a comment, share what worked for you. And as always, take what works for you, leave the rest behind. Otherwise, it's not ADHD friendly. That's it for this week. Tally ho.